Hello again everybody, and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious, and today we'll be covering the Hoppity's Chocolate Factory 2.0 update, which is currently on the alpha network. It includes a bunch of new features related to the Chocolate Factory that honestly make this event a little bit better. Without any further ado though, let's launch right into this. Starting off by opening the menu, you may notice a couple things that are different. Notably, two new rabbit employees, the rabbit uncle and the rabbit dog. These give 6 and 7 chocolate respectively per level. You might also notice that all of my employees are of a higher level than what was previously possible. This is due to the new tier of Chocolate Factory going all the way up to level 6. This allows you to have a 2.5x multiplier, divine rarity, 60 billion max chocolate, and as you can see, 220 levels per employee. Next up, we're going to head over to the chocolate shop because not too much has changed other than that on the main page. In the chocolate shop, there are some new items, notably chocolate dye, which honestly doesn't really look too special. As you can see, it's just a brown color, so if you want to recreate that, I guess you could. But other than that, there are also the new Chocolate Factory barn skin, as well as the new fish chocolat à la vapeur. I probably said that wrong because it is French and I don't really care about that language, but as you can see, it is 50 billion chocolate and a rabbit the fish. Also, the barn skin is 5 billion chocolate. Finally, you have the Chocolate Fortune, which gives you Cocoa Beans Fortune every tier. This costs 2 billion per level and goes up 25 times, which, if you can do math, is 50 billion chocolate altogether. Next up, you may notice that a lot of the other items have certain requirements as to how many you can buy every Skyblock year, an annual stock. For most items, it's around 1 to 2, but for the Supreme Chocolate Bar, it's 500, which means you'll need to wait 6 Skyblock years in order to get every single one you need. Next up, you may notice a little ladder here, which is the Chocolate Shop milestones. Basically, for however much chocolate you've spent, you will get milestones in this menu as well. Starting off, you'll get Alpha, then Beta, then Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, etc. These are the letters of the Greek alphabet. What's interesting about this is as little as 100 million chocolate will give you a legendary rabbit, and a mythic one will be gotten at around 250 million. It cycles through the tiers all the way up to level 24, which costs 800 billion chocolate. This is the Omega rabbit, and the perks are pretty interesting, which we can see here. Moo, for example, gives you increased time tower production by 0.7x, which is pretty significant. Zeta reduces the cost of your employee upgrades by 1%. Omega doubles the odds of finding golden rabbits, which I'll go over in a minute, and Sigma gives you each of your mythic rabbits 5 extra chocolate per second. What's next up is based on that tier that you saw before, which was this divine tier, you can actually get divine rabbits. These are Aurora, Celestia, Orion, Starfire, and Vega. Each of these increases your max employee level by 1, meaning you can get up to level 225 in every single employee. As you can see, this can scale pretty significantly compared to right now, as without the time tower being active, I have 25,000 chocolate per second. Next up, looking in the Chocolate Factory milestones menu, you can see that the overall requirements have increased by a fairly significant amount, going all the way up to 700 billion all-time chocolate in order to get Zest Zephyr. In terms of the Abophone contact that you can purchase here for 50 billion chocolate and Rabbit the Fish, you can give this to Hoppity to obtain the Abophone contact. We don't currently know how to get Rabbit the Fish. In my opinion, it's probably a rare drop from either the menu or from one of the rabbit eggs that you can find around the map, but once you do this, you can actually speak to Hoppity year-round, and he'll offer the rabbits that you may have missed as part of the event, which is pretty cool. Apparently, he'll also offer you something special every once in a while, but we don't know how that works in particular. Another thing I wanted to go over kind of briefly is the fact that whenever you find a rabbit in this menu, it'll be around for significantly longer and has the potential to be of a higher rarity than before, which is pretty nice. Next up, we're on the garden to look at the new Chocolate Factory barn skin, which I have to admit is one of the better looking ones in the game, especially considering it is technically free to get, which is really cool. Something else I wanted to showcase is that there are some new rabbits in Hoppity's collection, but these are pretty interesting. Basically, how the new ones work is that they require you to do certain things in the game. Consider Implode, for example, which you can only get after getting 2,000 duplicate rabbits. Next up, we have something like Necron, which requires a floor 7 completion. There's also another one over here, I believe, which requires a Master Mode floor 7 completion. Personally, I'm a big fan of finding rabbits based on doing certain activities in the game. It definitely is a unique way to add some new content here. For example, Saga requires you to get 25 unique epics, which is pretty neat. Next up, we're in the Crystal Nucleus for a pretty interesting change that I personally am a fan of. Basically, they've added a bunch more locations to find eggs within this area. They're trying to make the game a little less AFKable in this regard, and allow players to go to different islands to actually obtain eggs instead of just coming here and AFKing all 31 hours of the event. This is particularly notable because if you go into the Chocolate Factory menu and you look at some of the lower tiers of rabbits, you'll actually see something pretty interesting. If I go all the way down to the common tier, you can find Barn, as well as a bunch of other rabbits like Anvil. These require you to find 15 unique egg locations in the gold mine, which means you'll actually have to do the event in some other locations, which is pretty nice. Next up, we're in the Dungeon Hub for a change that has upset more than a few people. You can no longer use pearls in the trap room. This one's been in the game for a while now, and a lot of people assumed it was just intentional, but it was a bug and they decided to fix it. Personally, I'm neither for or against this. I can see arguments on both sides, but I do think dungeons definitely need some changes to become more adaptable in the year 2024, as a lot of its antiquated features are not aging in the best way possible. Lastly, we have a small change with regards to the Hoppity event. After finding an egg, the first stray rabbit that you find has a small chance to be a golden rabbit, which has a stronger effect than most strays. I assume this means in regard to the amount of chocolate that it gives you if it's a duplicate, and maybe the tier of the rabbit itself, although I'm not 100% certain. Overall, there are quite a few things that I like about this update, yet there are a few changes that have left me scratching my head. I do want to hear what you guys think down below though, so feel free to leave your thoughts. At the end of the day though, my name's Derailious, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas, I'll see you then.